Whoa, welcome back to the second part of Defenders. Okay, so like I said, I'll keep my promise here. We'll talk a little bit about Jessica Jones and her dynamic. We'll dive into the other characters too. There's a lot of supporting characters we haven't talked about. And also the main baddies. We haven't talked about them either.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about Jessica Jones first because on the last one in Suleman's Future Reach podcast, we were talking about her. And how we didn't know what she was going to do. Luke Cage is already superpowered, bulletproof, and he has a super strength. So what was Jessica Jones going to do? But for me, I thought she was a very vital part in terms of getting research. And without her and her private eye investigation, we wouldn't get as much details and they wouldn't have been as ready. Right? So
that scene when she leaves, when they're in the restaurant and she leaves, she actually does... We get to see that kind of in full flux when she is investigating. She goes back to the architect's home. She sees the car with the guy in it, and then she eventually comes back and saves them from Elektra, which was I thought fantastic. So they do a good job of that. I feel like they play their strengths off really well, and I feel like Jessica Jones's strength as a private eye was on display here. The scene when she goes again back to the architect's house and talks to the daughter with Matt, and they find the blueprints. I thought was a really good scene. The scene the part that I love most about that was when she was talking to the daughter and she said, "I have a friend whose dad was a boxer." And
and
also
tells back Matt Murdock's story back.
Yeah,
right?
but when they're walking on the street, Matt says, "How did you know about my dad?" And she's like, this is who I am. I investigate."
Yeah.
Which again was because he didn't at that point. Yeah, we didn't hear anything about Matt's father from the past.
Yeah,
and I thought that was again that was wonderful. Those scenes with the architect's house and how it kind of brings it back into the investigation and Jessica's main strength, I thought was wonderful.
Yeah, when she found out about Midland Circle with the architect company, right? I thought that was slick. She was
that was really slick.
Yeah, she was flirting, kind of letting him on. It's
yes,
like, I want something modern for my area.
Yes, in the
That's why she throws up in her mouth as she's saying these things. The type of person she is
like when she does that though. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Hi.
Even the records. She went through so many records of transactions, right? Like we thought they were immortal, but we didn't understand how immortal they were until those transfers kept on going and going. It's like 1800s they backtrated.
I think Sigourney Weaver's character Alexandra goes back to 1820. That's right. Yeah.
And even further back. She just couldn't find it. Yeah.
She finds the explosives as well. The architect's hideout, the explosives.
We don't get to see how she found it. She just found it, right? And she was being investigated at that time.
What do you mean? Like
in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, okay. Remember the guy called her office?
No, we got that part. I mean, like you don't actually see her break into the place and find the explosives.
No, yeah, you do.
Did you?
She snaps the doorknob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she
and
goes
then she walks in
I don't know what kind of weird
like,
stuff you're into.
Yeah.
But, and she finds all the C4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I binged it, so
we binged it. Yeah.
I might have missed a little detail here and there.
Yeah. But no, that was a good scene because that's when you know like. And that's right when the quake happens afterwards, right? That's when you know things are gonna really hit the fan, right?
Yeah,
things hit the fan.
Oh yeah, did they ever? Yeah.
And then her being like more practical and out there like on the field when it comes to like her using her abilities. She like uses her powers a lot more differently than Luke Cage does. Yeah. Right? She uses it like, oh well, we need to block that door. She'll like lift like some huge ass thing, like put it in the way. She'll snap door. Like Luke Cage has the ability to snap doorknobs too. He has the same strength, but she's like, no, we need to get it.
She's not indestructible either, right? So she doesn't like Luke Cage can also like defend.
Yeah.
She can't, right? She can die.
So she plays it smart. All her battles are smart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like her quirkiness though. It's just like when Luke Cage protected her, and it's just like, oh, you like this? It reminds me of old times.
Yeah. We'll go back to this. Yeah.
And then when she's beating up the guy who was in the car thing.
When she pushed his head against the glass.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know martial arts or
No. It's like, am I the only one who doesn't know kung fu?
But then she does say like I may not know it, but tell me if this hurts, something like that. That was a nice little touch. That was a cool scene. Yeah.
And then of course the train scene where she steals the beer.
Yeah.
I still can't get over that.
She is in my honest opinion, she's quite miserable. Even more so in this like she was miserable in Jessica Jones, but she's even more miserable in this one, like to the point where it was kind of like unbearable at times. Like when Malcolm walks in at the beginning, she's like, "Get out!" And she's like, "We're not at this stage anymore where you can just walk into my apartment." Like, come on, like come on, it's Malcolm. Like he's such a sweetie. Like,
there's that too. But like even Daredevil, like there was a hint of him going like, "Come on, Foggy, come on, Karen, leave me alone." Like I'm
not addicted.
I'm not.
I'm not an addict. This is just who I am. But he's kind of brooding. She's just like, nah. She's so miserable.
And she would scream at, like, she's a dragon. She's like literally scream at anyone to just leave her alone, except for Trish. But
for two different people with similar powers, Luke Cage is a complete opposite though. He got out of jail, so he's just like, hey, I'm done with my past, finally. Now I can be on the streets, protecting Harlem properly. And he's looking at the kids, looking at them, right? So you see he's in a different state of mind, but they're unique as a team-up, too.
Luke Cage has like this optimism to him.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones is kind of like the world's disgusting and dirty and ugly, and Luke Cage is like, no, let's make it better.
But I love the respect he gets. Like when he walks through his neighborhood, everyone's
like they're pointing at him.
Hey,
like,
Luke, did he just break in the restaurant? Nah, he did it.
I like the scenes with the kids at the stairwell. It's like, oh, who's it to you? And it's just like takes off the hoodie and it's just like, top floor.
That was a cool scene.
That was amazing. That was a really cool scene. You could tell how respected he is, right? And I was like, he goes through some sad stuff too, right? The kid that he was trying to protect gets killed off. And he's there with the mother, right? Like
he's there when she gets the call.
Yeah.
Right? And he holds her, and that's a touching scene. It's a really sad scene.
And you can tell that's kind of like he's unique on his own. That's a character that we can't really see Daredevil or like Jessica Jones or Iron Fist dealing with that. Because I'm pretty sure Iron Fist would have like flipped his top and just went after them.
No. We've seen those other characters deal with those situations. Like, I mean, even in the show in general, like Jessica, when the mom and the daughter come to like talk to her about the husband, she was like, she's like, no, screw you. He's cheating. Right? Yeah. And then before they left, she made sure to say like, I hope you find him. So they're like, they do have their sincerities, and even Iron Fist, like there are moments even in this where he's like he's crying over someone, or he just like very emotional with someone, and especially like Matt having that conversation with the boy who's in the wheelchair, right? His life got changed, and he has that like real deal talk of him, like, look, buddy, scene. Like you got to take your life back.
Yeah, I love that scene. It was such a real conversation. Because there was no sugar on that exchange. It was really nice. I like that exchange, and I like the exchange when Luke was talking to the guy and the boy in jail before he died. Yeah, that was a nice scene. The exchange between them. He's trying so hard to help him. The kid's like, you can't help me.
Yeah, so just go help my mom. Go to my mom.
You know what I love about Luke Cage and Daredevil? Something they have in common is they really do a good job of, at least to me, they really are like emblematic of their neighborhoods. Like Daredevil really represents Hell's Kitchen. Like Daredevil is like a part of Hell's Kitchen, and Hell's Kitchen is a part of Daredevil. It was like they intertwine. And Daredevil, and I think the same thing goes with Luke Cage and Harlem. I think they represent that's just a part of who they are. Their neighborhoods are as much of a character in their storylines as they are.
Well, Luke Cage kind of more adopted Harlem, right? He
wasn't from there, right? That's true. Daredevil grew up in Hell's Kitchen, right? That's true.
But he does get the like I said, he does adopt it because of Pops, the character you'll meet when you watch Luke Cage. You saw. Okay. If you haven't, Pop.
I miss Pop.
He was a great actor too.
But I just feel like they do like. I just feel like within those ranges, within those settings, Hell's Kitchen and Harlem are so active. Yeah, I just noticed that.
Well, other than them, we do have another 4 characters that are very vital to the series too. Starting with Madame Gao, she actually crossed over quite a bit.
Fingers of the Hand.
Yeah.
She's in almost all the shows except for Jessica Jones.
Oh, okay.
And maybe Luke Cage. I don't think she was in Luke Cage.
I haven't seen her in Luke Cage at this point.
No, she was not in Luke Cage.
Not that I can remember.
But like definitely in Iron Fist, definitely in Daredevil, right?
She's very prominent in this, though. You can see just how powerful she is. Oh. I feel like in Daredevil, you get to see what she was like.
She does look like a bitch when you have Sigourney Weaver. But yes. That's the only time you've seen her look like a bitch.
But she's two-faced with her. She'll go and she'll talk with her, but then at the end she'll be like, she's not ready.
Well, she's still the leader.
Yeah, she still has a respect for her leader.
It's like
but what I liked about this was Madame Gao's power is kind of on display here. You see her power as a drug lord in Daredevil, right? But you see like what she is as a whole in this, like with her abilities as a member of the Hand.
She did use her abilities in Iron Fist.
Okay.
There was a scene where she used it, and it was like that was the first time you've seen her power. Before that, you're just like, she's a weak, brittle old woman. Take her out.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So there's also her. There's also 3 others, right?
Yes. I can't remember. I see.
Bakudo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bakudo, and he came in Daredevil as well, right?
Bakudo was only in Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. Oh no, Bakudo was an Iron Fist.
Yep. Very important in Iron Fist.
He was the disciple of the Japanese guy was Nobunaga.
Oh, okay. So you have Murakami.
Yeah.
Murakami was the strings behind Nobu, and Nobu is like when they were talking about Nobu in Daredevil, he's like the savior of the hand because they're like, we have a tough situation. Let's just send Nobu out.
Yeah.
And that's why they kept bringing him back alive. Nobu was actually been in the organization for a long ass time.
And that's why the organization fears Daredevil, right? It's like the Devils of Hell's Kitchen, and everyone's just like, oh.
Yeah. The conversation they had in the room, they're like, Daredevil has joined the fight. They're like, shit. Damn it.
This got real.
Shit. I'm like, is he that good? And they're like, no, we can handle him. It's just like because of Elektra. But it's like, he is like an exceptional fighter.
It's gonna make things harder. It's gonna make
things
harder. Yeah. I didn't find of the villains. We were saying this before in between takes. I found Madame Gao, Zawande, and of course Alexandra, Sigourney Weaver's character, very engaging and interesting. The other two, I forgot their names. Bakudo and
Zawande.
No, I know Zawande. I know, but
okay, sorry.
Bakudo and the guy who speaks Japanese. Murakami's, yeah. I didn't find them particularly interesting compared to I know Murakami's prominent in this. But Madame Gao and Zawande, as the fingers of the hand, I found them far more interesting.
Okay.
I know Zawande doesn't last as long, but I just found his story interesting, and the exchanges when he was under captivity with Stick and the rest of them was very interesting to me. I didn't find like Bakudo. He didn't
You'll
really
see more of him in Iron Fist.
Yeah.
He actually fleshes out as a real character there, right? He plays a bigger role.
I just feel like. Yeah, Madame Gao and Zawande stuck out to me more. I found them far more interesting. Okay. As villains.
What was her name? Alexandra,
Sigourney Weaver. Yeah.
I felt like every single scene that she started off with, it was her eating classy food, listening to, like, it was high-end luxury, every scene you started. And the one thing that, like, got me was she's always sitting down. You know why? She's tall. She is tall compared to everyone else.
Sigourney Weaver is tall. I think she's almost 6 feet.
Yeah, I know. Compared to everyone. It's like Madame Gao is like, oh, who are you? Like, she is tall. And it's like, it's kind of scary if you were going up against her. And it's funny, she wasn't a fighter, right?
She is a fighter, but like, I think it probably has to do with production and how obviously how they've written it, but definitely all you really need Sigourney Weaver is to deliver her lines because she's a really dramatic role, like she's a dramatic actor, so just give her those dramatic roles. But how they place her is like, yeah, she is a fighter. She came from Kunlun just like everyone else. Yeah. She has the same abilities as everyone else. She's just not someone who's on the field and fighting like them all the time.
When she stands,
so you never see that get pulled out.
Yeah. And when she's standing though, and when she is speaking with members of the hand, there is this aura of intimidation to her.
Oh, yeah. She's always on one side of the room, and all the others on the other side, right?
She's one of the greats, right? Sigourney Weaver. She does amazing in this. And as Alexandra, she was a very effective villain. And I do like the way, like Madame Gao, you mentioned this, Madame Gao fears her. The way she talks to her, like she does two-timer kind of, like she does go back. She has Two-Face with her, right? Two-timer, they're not dating. She goes behind her back, but there is like this respect that she has for her, and it's out of fear, I think.
Okay.
And I thought that was really well done between Sigourney Weaver and the actress who plays Madame Gao.
Yeah. From there, we do have a lot of Easter eggs, right, and little slip-ups. It's quite a bit of those. So, yeah, as you mentioned before, Sticks with the sword.
Yeah, where's his sword, man? Like, one scene, you see him, he has his one hand, and he's like, shink. In one of the scenes, they mess up, the witch hand got cut off. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Oh, no way.
There's one scene where that happens.
Oh, for continuity.
Yeah. It's actually when he's walking in to the restaurant, and you're like, why is a sword in his other hand?
Oh, did they? I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice that. I missed that.
Him running around the pole when they're in the building, like when he first gets caught. There's some other issues there as well.
We're talking about continuity errors, right?
Yeah, continuity errors. Claire, you were saying the cup is like, where's Colleen?
Cup disappears.
Cup is gone.
I mean, that...
They pulled a cut in between scenes, right? Like, to mesh that walking scene up, they put a cut in between, and it's just like, when I saw it, I'm like, oh my god.
Whenever we're filming for the channel, whenever we film our shorts, we always freak out over continuity.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But whenever we notice stuff like that in major productions that we love to watch, it's kind of nice because everybody...
Yeah.
It's going to happen to everybody,
We all
right?
mess up.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, yeah. But it didn't take away. It was,
No, I didn't care one hell of a shit.
Didn't matter
after
at all.
that. Like, you deliver what was important, essentially.
Yeah.
After that, there was scenes where, if you guys noticed, the kid in the wheelchair, he had a red hoodie on his lap. It's just like a bundled up red hoodie. And then you see...
Matt defended?
Yeah. He had a hoodie on his lap,
right,
and it was red. It was dark red, like Daredevil's.
Right.
And it's funny because the kid in the jail cell, when Luke is talking to him, has bright yellow.
Bright yellow, yeah.
And blue jeans. Like, it was almost like he's wearing Luke Cage's colors, right?
Yeah, they were a reflection of...
Yeah, I'm not sure about the girl that Jessica Jones talked to. I didn't focus on her.
She had purple lipstick.
Purple lipstick, did she?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't notice that, honestly.
And then who else is left?
Or black, but even like just the
Iron Fist didn't talk to any children or like
But
had any of those.
We didn't.
I don't think you did.
There was also the supporting characters, though. We haven't talked too much about how they like all the other supporting characters from every show. I thought
Who
they
cares?
I thought they.
I do. It's a kid. I kid.
I do. That was a little rude.
Froggy.
Froggy. Garth likes to call him Froggy, but it's Foggy.
It's Foggy.
Foggy, Karen, Claire, Misty,
Yes.
Malcolm, Trish. I guess Colleen, technically, even though she's more prominent, I would say, than the other supporting
Colleen is
characters.
definitely in the comic books.
Yeah.
Actually, Colleen is very important overall in the comic books. She actually teaches a lot of people how to fight.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Misty Knight is one of them. Claire is actually not really supposed to be a fighter, so that's a little interesting.
Claire's the healer.
She's supposed to be light
she's the
nurse.
healer, right?
Yeah.
But what I loved about the show, again, is they did a good job of integrating all of them.
Oh yeah.
I thought they all played a really important role. They all did it. They all complemented their supporting cast nicely. I like how they all met. I love when Misty first meets Jessica Jones and she's like, "You got a mouth." Like there's some good exchanges like that. I like when Trish and Karen first talk to each other.
Oh yeah.
You know, what's the deal with the blind lure? It's complicated. They say that word a lot. It's complicated.
It's complicated.
But it is.
Everyone in Daredevil's world said it's complicated.
But it is.
It's complicated.
I enjoyed that. I would have I mean, you can only do so much for everybody, but a little bit more Malcolm. He was kind of on the side a little bit. He's not doing drugs anymore, which is nice. He's cleaned up. But he is trying to kind of get, like in the beginning, he is trying to get Jessica Jones back into the groove. And at the very end, he is tidying up her place, saying, you know, we should be open for business now. And she finally embraces it, which I thought was nice. So he has an important role as well, even though it's not as fleshed out as the other supporting characters. Claire, I thought, was fantastic.
Foggy.
Foggy,
he gave him the suit.
He gave Daredevil the suit.
He got Luke Cage out.
When they're in the Harlem precinct, he comes in and he gives him the suit.
Yep.
He sends him back into war.
Don't forget, he's like one of the best friends. Like,
Yeah.
there's no doubt.
He's Daredevil's bro, right?
And he's always been looking out. It's like,
Yeah.
here's a bunch of cases. It's like, I don't need charity work. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, this is for your health.
Yeah. And
How's the wife and kids?
but they're so close. They have such a great bromance,
Yeah.
Foggy and Matt, and it's not as on display here, and as it shouldn't be, because they kind of went their separate ways at the end of Daredevil season 2. But you can tell they still love each other, right? And I thought that was really well done. But you guys are right. Foggy and Karen do talk about Daredevil like it's a disease, like it's an alcoholic.
It's an
You need to go to the AA meeting on Sundays. You know what I mean?
But I just like how Daredevil's like, this is who I am. This is part of my life. It's not something I have to get rid of. It is who I am. It's a part of me. And I thought that was excellent.
Is there anyone else we missed?
Who did we miss?
Sticks?
Stick was great. I also Stick was great. He was
He's
used a lot in this.
He explains why they're all together.
Can we just take a moment though and appreciate how great Scott Glenn is as Stick? What a perfect
sarcasm.
casting call though, right? Just what a
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened to your hand? I had to chop it off. Just so
Straight,
matter of fact,
yeah.
right? Just so matter of fact.
I find him an asshole at times,
Oh,
but
yeah.
he is hilarious at other
He
times.
is, but there are times, that's one of the reasons why you love him, because no matter what, he is still trying to do the right thing.
Just his own twisted
In
version
his
of
own-
it.
In his own way, yeah. It's good. Because he just gets down to like how do you deal with a situation the best way, and like in the room they had Iron Fist tied up, yeah. And he's like, well, here's the way we're going to do it. I'm going to put you down because you can't stop me, Luke Cage. I'm going to kill him. And then Elektra comes in for the save. Yeah. So, like, But yeah, he'll make like certain moves and decisions that are like just straight to the point. He even wanted to kill Elektra.
Yes.
In Daredevil season 2. So
it fleshes out his character as who he is, right?
And end up being his downfall.
Yeah.
It's like he like Stick. Sure, he has like the right thing in mind to have a situation go like fix the world kind of thing.
His intentions are noble.
Yeah,
but the way he goes about them,
he never looks for another way. Like he does look for another way, but he doesn't look for like the best way out. He'll always go for the matter of fact, like straight to the point. Like,
he checks his emotions in before he goes into battle.
Well, to his credit, he's seen his entire clan, like the Chase.
Yeah, they're not all like that though.
No,
they're all gone.
They're gone.
They're all gone.
The way they got eradicated was too fast, too soon, and he sees it, right? And he's just like, if I continue like this, the hand's gonna win. So
we gotta just logic. Defeat them soundly as possible.
Yeah, or stop them as much as possible, right? Mm-hmm. But it wasn't the effective way, but it did work in a way for him.
Well, it worked within the context of his character.
Yeah.
But like you said, it led to his downfall.
Mm-hmm.
It did lead to his downfall. But he's still an amazing character. Like I think Stick is great.
Oh, yeah.
I like the way they did Claire. I love how she went to the building with them, and I even kind of talked Luke Cage into blowing it up.
Yeah,
there was a little bit of that, right?
I love Luke Cage's reaction.
Yeah.
I love Luke Cage's reaction. No, right off the bat.
I ain't
no.
going to jail, man. That's how he was talking. He's like, I ain't going to jail. You're all crazy.
Yeah.
But now they have like a reasonable doubt because like Bakuto's actually the one who sets off the bomb. They're like, he set the bomb off. But you guys bought the bombs. Hey, we didn't blow it up though.
It was just a threat. It was an empty threat.
We didn't blow it up.
Good thing Foggy's firm too.
Claire Garth.
I like he's like Claire who? What about Claire? Claire who? No one was there.
No one was there.
And no, I liked how the supporting characters were molded into the storyline. I thought they all played a really important role. I love the way Misty she just got right in there and sacrificed herself.
Yeah.
Her arm. Yeah.
Misty will now become Misty.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
what that scene was.
Basically.
Yeah, and her having her hair up like that is straight up comic book as well.
Is that what she's like in the comic?
Yeah,
just about. Luke Cage, right?
Like it's either she has a crazy afro or that actual perfect like headband. Mm-hmm. So who knows? They might actually bring like the full on afro again.
Does she have like a full on afro in the comics? Is it
pretty much like you know how she was in Luke Cage? Yeah. Like so just about like that, but her also having it up like that as well, like just the headband up. It's also all comic booky, and her obviously getting her hand cut off, not the same exact way in the comic books, but regardless, she's gonna become Misty Knight after that.
It's just leading up to it.
Oh yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
And she teams up with Colleen Wing. So that's the thing, though.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and that's how Colleen Wing is in the comic books, is they team up and they're like, they do more
discount Defender stuff.
Yeah, but they're more on the legal side of it, not to they help out in terms of that. And then obviously you're gonna probably see a lot more of Luke Cage and Iron Fist teaming up because that is like a straight up like comic book.
Yeah, that's they're partnering together, right?
Yeah,
Power Man and Iron Fist, was it? Right? Is that what they
essentially. But you can just team up like. You just call them Heroes for Hire. That's the comic book.
Yeah, I read a couple of those. They're fun.
And there is a budding bromance between those two, right?
Oh.
Yeah, there is when they are talking about like the dragon and Luke Cage kind of taps him on the lap with the newspaper. Yeah. That was kind of that was fun. I like those exchanges.
I like how Luke Cage is just like, I'm not believing this shit. And it's like, fine, I'll listen to you.
Iron Fist actually looks so sad when Luke Cage is like, I was just kidding about the dragon. He's like. And Luke Cage is like, all right, what? I bet it must have hurt. When you punched the dragon. I was
burning his hell.
There was some really those actors are all really good. That was just it was so well cast.
Yeah,
the chemistry is great. Like Mike Coulter and Finn Jones's chemistry works great. They and I thought also Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock had some good scenes together as well when they were investigating. And talking together. Mm-hmm. We already kind of touched on that a little bit, but I just thought they did a good job of kind of isolating them into groups of two as well with Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Jessica Jones and Daredevil. Yeah, that was good.
They had a good dynamic going in there.
Mm-hmm. So, what about the Easter eggs in the show?
Other than that,
seen any Easter eggs, you guys?
Well, Well, why don't you tell us, Mick?
Oh, I'm the person. Okay.
I'm trying to think back. I'm kind of missing out.
Yeah. Okay, well, Misty Knight is obviously one of them.
Yes.
Her hand getting cut off, arm, excuse me. Iron Fist at the ending. Actually, there's a huge amount of Easter eggs at the end of the
Now, because I was
show,
confused
actually.
before. Remember we said Easter eggs before when we said continuity. Now we're talking about Easter eggs. Okay, okay, my mind is all right now. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Iron Fist at the end, you see him in that sort of like kind of a jumpsuit costume,
right.
like a shirt, jacket kind of shirt.
It's dark with like streaks, right?
That's his comic book suit. Excuse me, like right now.
Which I don't like much. I like his V-neck one.
The V-neck one, the classic.
Yeah.
It's not gonna really work right now. You know what I mean? But like that's how you bring it, right?
The Immortal Iron Fist.
The Immortal Iron Fist.
I had to say it. Don't make me use this.
When he was brooding on the rooftop, I was just thinking, is that Batman brooding?
But anyways,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
At the end with Daredevil, when you think he's dead, but you obviously know he's not, but he's getting in the nursery. He's actually at the church where he first grew up in the adoption, and it's Maggie, right?
Right, they say Maggie, get Maggie.
Yeah, so that's like something that they kind of explored in the Ben Affleck movie. Not too much, but regardless, they're bringing her in if it comes to Daredevil, and she was involved in his resurrection in her comic books.
I know we mentioned the Ben Affleck movie. Calm down, relax. It's okay.
Yeah.
Deep breaths.
Something I also mentioned during the podcast was Midland, like actually being the name for the hand when they had their own building.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's straight up comic book, and it going like how many feet down and whatnot. That's all comic book actually. Obviously Heroes for Hire is a straight up Easter egg. So anytime you saw Luke Cage and Iron Fist like teaming up, all of those moments just about, you can actually probably pull up the issue and find them. Man, there's a lot of Easter eggs definitely, but I think those are the most notable ones I can really pick out. Actually maybe the one greatest last one I would say is Foggy and Karen Page. So Karen Page by now in the comic books is dead.
Yeah. Kevin Smith killed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith?
Yeah.
So by now she's dead.
He wrote the issue.
So a lot of the parts that Karen gets, probably from now and since season 2, all of her parts has been just about like roles that other characters have done. Like, so Night Nurse is decent in terms of like how often she's around, who's Claire.
Right.
Claire is actually a lot more prominent. And so anytime you see Claire healing or doing anything like that,
that's a prelude to what she's going to be in terms of
that. And anytime Karen is on the screen or like when she's doing something, a lot of her stuff is actually from Night Nurse. So there's just something there to like think about. But definitely there's a whole bunch of things in this that you can go over. Those are the things I actually like got to pick out. But I watched it once and then up to episode 5 right now again just to kind of re-jigger myself of everything. But definitely a lot of the Easter eggs I find is like during the middle of the show and definitely at the end.
They do a lot. The thing about Marvel is because it's a big empire now and it's an interlocking universe of films, TV shows, and Netflix stuff. I just think they do a really good job of leaning into
Easter
it.
Egg.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's one last Easter egg. Guess who was in this too?
At the very end, I saw the...
It was in the end.
Okay, at the end, okay.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a second then.
Who is the one dude, that one motherfucker we see in almost every Marvel thing you've ever seen? Stan Lee.
Oh, the picture.
Yes.
The picture in the back. You do see a Stan Lee cameo when they're walking down the street. I think it was Jessica Jones.
So
you see a picture. You see a poster of Stan Lee's face.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
So Matthew Murdock is like not chasing, but he's like he's streamlining behind, following Jessica Jones, and like in the back there you see his face.
He looks like Big Brother from 1984, like the poster is. But it looks really cool. Yeah, you do see his face a couple 2 or 3 times, quick cutaways. You have to look really hard, but you do see it.
Yeah.
And at the very end, obviously, the prelude to the Punisher. I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah. So Marvel did their thing again, and at the end of Defenders, they're like, "Here's the post-screen credit."
Yeah.
Oh no!
This Punisher
trailer.
No.
At the very end, you see a nice little tease to the Punisher. They did that with Luke Cage in Daredevil season 2 as well.
Okay.
But
I was rushing through it this morning.
Yeah,
just
I
trying
know.
to catch
We were all
up.
getting ready to. The struggles of making a podcast. I don't know. I was trying to look at the right word.
The
but
grind is real. The grind is real.
There's no the grind. Yeah, because we do this, then we gotta get home and get ready for work tomorrow. So
he's coming to collect.
All right. So the last thing I want to talk about is the final fight.
A little more enthusiastic.
Nick and I were both like. Nick was like. That was funny. Final fight was good.
Yes.
I felt like the lead up to it with Elektra and Iron Fist was a little bit dark. Personally, I'm nitpicking, but I just thought it was a little bit dark, a little hard to see. Once they were all together, I felt like it was a little bit more illuminated. It was underground, so it's tricky. But I thought they did a good job of it.
No, they had those 30-minute setup lights. Like, they had it. They had it all
Get
coordinated.
the floodlights, just like on dim, you know.
It's funny for a bunch of people that are working to mine out dragon bones. They didn't have much light there.
Yeah.
They didn't have much time either, right?
No.
Because literally he just broke down the door, and they're like, oh.
And then we get that scene where they come down through the elevator, or where they had Jessica Jones just in there by herself, and comes down, and Danny Rand's just like, only one person.
And Luke Cage and Daredevil did like an ambush. It was.
We
awesome.
got your back, don't worry, Danny.
Light it up.
Yeah.
Again, that's more like, I just love the connections between those two.
Yeah.
It was good.
And there was a couple of brutal hits in there. That fight scene, the way they choreographed it.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
It looked good.
Luke Cage bulldozed someone, and I think, like, Daredevil did this kick to stop some guy dead in the tracks. And when you see that kind of stuff, it's just like, oh my God.
They all fight in a unique way, and that was on display here. You could see it, and it looked awesome.
Yeah, the mesh back and forth really worked.
Yeah, and the music changes.
Just like they've been doing that the entire show, right? Just like how they transition the music in, and when they start it with this big boom coming in there, and just
it's almost seamless though. It's almost seamless.
Very seamless.
Like
and
if you're not paying attention, it'll be just nice background music.
Blends in nicely.
Yeah. It's like, what happened?
It blends in really nicely. They do a really good job of that. And again, given the location, I thought it was a successful execution of the fight. So
choreography out of this world. I don't know. And the point that I think you were talking about really was that it just brings it back down from like all the crazy Marvel movies with like gods and things, and you have like crazy effects and like Thor throwing hammers and Hulk smashing, but you just come back to the regular old sick ass fighting, just that martial arts fighting, and you just brought that back.
I know, like they all have their own powers, but it's still just fighting. It's still fists and kicks.
Funny enough, it feels like it's a video game scene where you have like 30 men.
You know what the thing was though? It didn't look like a video game. It wasn't a big CGI slugfest. It was just a slugfest. It's just people actually punching and fighting. And obviously there was post-production manipulation, but it wasn't just like all the CGI. Like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 just came to my mind. And I loved it, but that fight scene at the end was just a video game. Yeah. And this wasn't that.
Yeah,
and
there's no quick cuts here. They were all brutal.
and that was awesome. So yeah, I mean it was great. It was great just to see old-fashioned fighting. Yeah.
Jessica Jones like throwing that woman up to the ceiling, bouncing down.
I think that was the only woman there that was fighting the whole time.
Maybe, but there was that time where like someone came to her and she punches him down and she like kicks them and they fly over to the So they fight really uniquely in different ways. Like you could see all the martial arts in that room. Yeah,
all on display.
A good amount.
The camera work, which is phenomenal, just moving. I mean, it's award-winning stuff. Yeah, it really is. They executed it nicely.
I wish they fought more in the dragon. That's still one of my things.
You see a little bit of that with Daredevil and Elektra, though, right? There's a little bit of that, and it's it was effective. And you know, with the explosion and them kissing at the end, it was very dramatic. I thought they did a good job of that.
The Rogue One ending.
I know, right? Overall, though, I gotta be honest. I think this show was a success. The hype was real. The build-up was good, and I can't wait to see these characters come together again, and I can't wait to see their individual adventures again. It's Marvel has a winning formula and it's working.
How are you, Mick?
Winning formula. Should I say more? I mean, my excitement came out from this whole show. Honestly, like I said, I've watched this already, and I've watched it up to the 5th episode for a second time so far, my second watching. And really, like, my excitement is heightened. I really like what happened here. The action was, like, top-notch. Is the best we've seen Iron Fist. Like, screw Season 1. That didn't exist in my mind after seeing him in Defenders. It's literally, it's basically Daredevil Season 3 and Iron Fist Season 2. Yeah, like, coming together. Just about. Oh, yeah. And really, just like a lot of the Easter eggs that are in here, the supporting characters definitely like helping out the main cast, and the main cast working really well together. Their chemistry is beautiful. Yeah. The dramatic scenes, Elektra being awesome in her little corner. I'm not sure what they're going to do afterwards because Elektra is supposed to be on that bouncy line of anti-hero anyway, so that's what they might eventually do with her if she's still around. I'm pretty sure she is. We haven't seen a dead body, so she's alive.
she can't be gone yet. She's too important to Daredevil's mythos.
It's like until you see a sword or something inside someone's heart and you see it physically on camera, it says they're not dead.
Stick is dead. Stick is dead. He's gone. There's no substance either. Madame Gao and Murakami might actually be alive. So we're not sure about that. But overall, this is awesome. You did a good job. Fired whoever was on Iron Fist. You don't need him. Yeah. You don't. You saw what Iron Fist could do.
I'm at the point now, too, where I actually am looking more forward to the Netflix Marvel stuff than I am the movie.
Yes. Actually, I am. Yeah,
it's more... To me, it's just real. And they do put in the magic and the mystical into it. At least with Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, they did. But I don't know with Iron Fist they do too, which I will watch. But it's still very real in my eyes. It's still very gritty.
For me, the whole thing was like you guys said, everything's there. For me, I love how they ended it off. Because it can go either, you could do group ups now. Or you can just straight up just say, let's continue the story and get them to meet up later on. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do Heroes for Hire just for a season. Where Luke Cage and Iron Fist jump up or something like that.
Or it could be one of their shows and they just, they bounce between each other.
Right.
So there's a lot of possibilities they opened up to. And it's just the way they set up the ending, which surprised me. Because it's you got Luke Cage, he's just going to start his own thing. He's either going to settle down or he's going to do something for Harlem. And you got Iron Fist on top of a roof. He's going to do whatever Matt Murdock would have done, right? He's taking on the mantle and continuing it. Yeah. So that was a nice touch. And then they showed Jessica Jones opening up the private eye. So she's going back in business. And finally you have Daredevil on a bed and you're just what's going on? Yeah, no. I knew he wasn't dead. He was too important.
They better not kill him. I loved it all.
And who knows what if... I think they might actually do his resurrection storyline. Because it's set up very perfectly for him to do that. You have Maggie and him coming... I'm pretty sure they're going to do it. And not to spoil it, but it does get into him, a certain character who's in jail. Coming back.
So, I guess
it's literally a resurrection.
We'll wait and see.
We have to wait and see. Yeah. And with that,
it's coming out soon, next year, season 3.
So with that, you guys have an idea of what we think about what's going to happen with Marvel. Why don't you give us a comment below and tell us what you think and what you thought of the series and what we think Daredevil or any of our cast members here are casting Iron Fist or Daredevil Defender. Whoa.
Long day.
Long day.
Like Jessica Jones said, long week.
Long week.
It's been 3 days. What?
With that note, we'll see you guys around. Join us next time.
Like or subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw.
No. Kyle's not here. Subscribe.
Yeah, we had to edit Carl into the
just add him in every scene.
Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, you can check out the next video here. If you're in a daring mood, you can select the random video here.
And they find the blueprints. I thought was a really good scene. The scene the part that I love most about that was when she was talking to the daughter, and she said, "I have a friend whose dad was a boxer." And
and also tells back Matt Murdock's story back.
Yeah, right? But when they're walking on the street, Matt says, "How did you know about my dad?" And she's like, this is who I am. I investigate." Yeah. Which again was because he didn't at that point. Yeah, we didn't hear anything about Matt's father from the past.
Yeah,
and I thought that was that was wonderful. Those scenes with the architect's house and how it kind of brings it back into the investigation and Jessica's main strength. I thought was wonderful.
Yeah, when she found out about Midland Circle with the architect company, right? I thought that was slick. She was
that was really slick.
Yeah, she was flirting, kind of letting him on. It's I want something modern for my area.
Yes, in the
That's why she throws up in her mouth as she's saying these stuff. It's the type of person she is.
I like when she does that though. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Hi.
Even the records. She went through so many records of transactions, right? We thought they were immortal, but we didn't understand how immortal they were until those transfers kept on going and going. It's 1800s they backtrated.
I think Sigourney Weaver's character Alexandra goes back to 1820. That's right. Yeah.
And even further back. She just couldn't find it.
She finds the explosives as well. the architect's hideout, the explosives.
We don't get to see how she fights.
Yeah. She's like
I don't know martial arts or
no. It's just like, am I the only one who doesn't know kung fu?
Yeah.
But then she does say I may not know it, but tell me if this hurts, something like that. That was
that was a nice little touch.
That was a cool scene. Yeah.
And then of course the train scene where she steals the beer.
Yeah.
I still can't get over that.
She is in my honest opinion, she's quite miserable. Even more so in this like she was miserable in Jessica Jones, but she's even more miserable in this one, like to the point where it was kind of like unbearable at times. Like when Malcolm walks in at the beginning, she's like, "Get out!" And she's like, "We're not at this stage anymore where you can just walk into my apartment." Like, come on, like come on, it's Malcolm. Like he's such a sweetie, like,
there's that too. But like even Daredevil, like. There was a hint of him going like, "Come on, Foggy. Come on, Karen. Leave me alone." Like I'm
not addicted.
I'm not.
I'm not an addict. This is just who I am. But he's kind of brooding. She's just like, nah. She's so miserable.
And she would scream at she's a dragon. She like literally scream at anyone to just leave her alone, except for Trish. But
for two different people with similar powers, Luke Cage is a complete opposite though. He got out of jail, so he's just like, "Hey, I'm done with my past. Finally, now I can be on the streets." Protecting Harlem properly, and he's looking at the kids, looking at them, right? So you see he's in a different state of mind, but they're unique as a team up too.
Luke Cage has like this optimism.
Whoa, welcome back to the second part of Defenders. Okay, so like I said, I'll keep my promise here. We'll talk a little bit about Jessica Jones and her dynamic. We'll dive into the other characters too. There's a lot of supporting characters we haven't talked about. And also the main baddies. We haven't talked about them either.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about Jessica Jones first because on the last one in Suleman's Future Reach podcast, we were talking about her and how we didn't know what she was going to do. Luke Cage is already superpowered, bulletproof, and he has a super strength. So, what was Jessica Jones going to do? But for me, I thought she was a very vital part in terms of getting research. And without her and her private eye investigation, we wouldn't get as much details, and they wouldn't have been as ready, right? So
that scene when she leaves, when they're in the restaurant and she leaves, she actually does. We get to see that kind of in full flux when she is investigating. She goes back to the architect's home. She sees the car with the guy in it, and then she eventually comes back and saves them from Elektra, which was I thought fantastic. So they do a good job of that. I feel like they play their strengths off really well. And I feel like Jessica Jones's strength as a private eye was on display here. The scene when she goes again back to the architect's house and talks to the daughter with Matt and listens to him.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones is kind of like the world's disgusting and dirty and ugly, and Luke Cage is like, no, let's make it better.
But I love the respect he gets. Like when he walks through his neighborhood, everyone's like
they're pointing at him.
Hey, Luke, did he just break in the restaurant? Nah, he did it.
I like the scenes with the kids at the stairwell. It's like, oh, who's it to you? And it's just like takes off the hoodie and it's just like, top floor.
That was a cool scene.
That was amazing.
That was a really cool
scene. You could tell how respected he is, right? And I was like, he goes through some sad stuff too, right? The kid that he was trying to protect gets killed off, and he's there with the mother, right? Like
he's there when she gets the call, right? And he holds her, and that's a touching scene. It's a really sad scene,
and you can tell that's kind of like he's unique on his own. That's a character that we can't really see Daredevil or like Jessica Jones or Iron Fist dealing with that, because I'm pretty sure Iron Fist would have flipped his top and just went after them.
No. We've seen those other characters deal with those situations. Like, I mean, even in the show in general, like Jessica, when the mom and the daughter come to like talk to her about the husband, she was like, well, like. She's like, no, screw you. He's cheating. Yeah. And then before they left, she made sure to say, like, I hope you find him. So they're like, they do have their sincerities. And even, Iron Fist.
Found it. She just found it, right? And she was being investigated at that time.
What do you mean? Like
in the beginning.
Okay, remember the guy called her office?
No, we got that part. I mean, like, you don't actually see her break into the place and find the
explosives. No, yeah, you do.
Did he?
She snaps the doorknob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she
and
goes
then she
in,
walks
like,
in
I don't know
and
what
she's
kind of
like,
weird
what?
stuff you're into.
Yeah.
And she finds all the C4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I binged it, so...
We binged it,
I might have missed a little detail here and there.
Yeah. But no, that was a good scene, because that's when you know, like, and that's right when the quake happens afterwards, right? That's when you know things are gonna really hit the fan, right?
Yeah,
things hit the fan.
Oh yeah, did they ever? Yeah.
And then her being like more practical and out there like on the field when it comes to like her using her abilities. She like uses her powers a lot more differently than Luke Cage does. Yeah. Right? She uses it like, oh well, we need to block that door. She'll like lift like some huge ass thing, like put it in the way. She'll snap door. Like Luke Cage has the ability to snap doorknobs too. He has the same strength, but she's like, no, we need to get it.
She's not indestructible either, right? So she doesn't like Luke Cage can also like defend.
Yeah.
She can't, right? She can die.
So she plays it smart. All her battles are smart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like her quirkiness though. It's just like when Luke Cage protected her, and it's just like, oh, you like this? It reminds me of old times.
Yeah, I remember back to this. Yeah.
And then when she's beating up the guy who was in the car thing,
when she pushed his head against the